forecast coming up.
Now at 10, Tatyana remembered. Her family and friends hold a vigil to honor the 12-year-old killed in an accidental shooting. And Zach Randolph's family is mourning tonight after the former Memphis Grizzlies brother was killed. What investigators know so far. Plus, more people are getting sick after a Salmonella outbreak. The food the CDC says you need to throw out.
Live from WATN TV in high definition, this is Local 24 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Mary Jo Ola, wise beyond her years and a child of God. That's how family members described 12-year-old Tatyana James at a vigil today. The Fraser community continues to mourn after James lost her life in an accidental shooting. Memphis police say James and her older brother were playing with a gun inside of a car Tuesday when it went off. Local 24's Annette Pegler joined us live in the studio after talking with her family. Annette.
Mary Jo, there was not a dry eye at the vigil as family, friends, and the entire Fraser community remembered Tatyana James's short life. The emotional ceremony centered around prayer for James and for her mother and brother, who are both charged in connection with her death.
We're praying now, Lord God, for the repose and the peace and the rest of little Tatyana, Lord God, that we believe is well now with her soul, Lord God. We thank you.
Katrina Blackshire broke down in tears as her pastor said a prayer for her 12-year-old daughter, Tatyana James, who tragically lost her life earlier this week.
She was a middle schooler, but she walked like a high schooler. And most of all, she loved God.
The Neighborhood Christian Center, Tatyana's camp, hosted a celebration of life ceremony at the place where she was accidentally shot.
It meant a whole lot because I have been knowing Tatyana since she was a newborn baby, and me and her mother is good friends, and it's really emotional today.
Memphis police say James's mother left a loaded gun unsecured inside of her car. Police say James and her 13-year-old brother were tussling with the gun when it went off.
He never would hurt his sister, nothing in the world. He loved his sister. They played together every day.
James's family and friends are relying on prayer to help them with this tragedy.
We pour out our grief to you and praise you that on one glorious day, when all suffering is extinguished and love has conquered, we shall walk together again.
And Blackshire faces negligent homicide and aggravated child abuse. She's out on bond tonight. Her 13-year-old brother, or James's 13-year-old brother, who was also in the car, faces a reckless homicide charge. The family has asked for privacy as they prepare for Tatyana's funeral. Live in the studio, Annette Pegler, Local 24 News.
Annette, thank you. New information in the death of Zach Randolph's brother, Roger. The 35-year-old was gunned down early this morning in Marion, Indiana. A police officer says he was walking out of the station around 5 a.m. when he heard gunshots. He followed them to the Hops Blues Room, and that's where he found Roger Randolph on the ground between two cars in the parking lot. Randolph had been shot at least once in the stomach and was not breathing when the officer found him. Now, Marion PD says they're trying to talk to anyone who may have seen something.
As of right now, we think that there were several people here, probably more than 25 or 30 people here that left prior to the police arrival, and we haven't been able to talk to them yet. So we'd ask if anyone that was here that hasn't spoke to law enforcement, contact the Marion Police Department to see if we can establish any more leads.
Roger is Zach Randolph's brother. Zach played 8 years with the Memphis Grizzlies, during which he became a fan favorite. There has been an outpouring of support for the Randolph family online, including from Zach's former team. The Memphis Grizzlies tweeted today that their thoughts and prayers are with him. NBA writer Oliver Maroney tweeted that Zach is one of the nicest guys in the league and has done a lot for the community. Really devastating and sad to hear of his loss. And Memphis Grizzlies TV play-by-play announcer Pete Pranica also sending out his prayers to the Randolph family tonight. Local crime alert: West Memphis police have made an arrest in the death of a 15-year-old girl. Kelton Moore is charged with first-degree murder for the shooting of Jordan Craig. She was killed June 9th while she was walking home from a store with her boyfriend. That young man was also hit and is now recovering after he was shot in the arm. Police are looking for a luxury car vehicle thief in downtown Memphis. Take a close look at that. They say this man there on your screen stole the keys to a 2018 white Infiniti QX70 on Friday, then came back to the Sheraton Hotel on North Main later on to steal it. If this man looks familiar, call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Tennessee gubernatorial candidate Bill Lee is facing complaints about his campaign money. According to the Tennessee Journal, Lee is accused of breaking campaign finance laws. The complaint filed Thursday claims Lee used a tax-sheltered trust to illegally donate money to his own campaign. It also claims that Lee accepted illegal contributions and questions his frequent use of TV ads. 4 donations totaling $16,000 were said to have come from businesses with addresses in Franklin, which are also reportedly the address of Lee's business. Lee's advisor dismissed the complaint, saying it was nonsense. The Registry Board of Election Finance has already dismissed previous complaints against fellow candidates Diane Black and Beth Harwell. Local 24 is your election headquarters, and the 2 main Democrats running for governor are making their case to party faithful this weekend. Tennessee House Party leader Craig Fitzhugh is running against former Nashville Mayor Carl Dean, and both men see jobs, education, and health care as the main issues. When asked, Fitzhugh will say he differs from Dean on education, while Dean says he wants to refocus on rural areas.
We would like to use some of our state tax money for charter schools and for...
Of course, there are people here who still need help and I think feel forgotten. But when you get into more rural areas and smaller towns, that's where you really see the challenges.
Both men spoke at the state Democratic Party fundraiser, which for the first time is away from Nashville in Republican-dominated Wilson County. No matter what party you belong to, early voting begins in less than a month for the August primary. Well, that's good news for Shelby County Republicans as well. The party celebrated the grand opening of their 2018 campaign headquarters today. They say the building on Germantown Parkway near Trinity Road in Cordova will be a major asset as midterm election season approaches. People who attended the ribbon cutting were able to register to vote and meet some of the local candidates jockeying for their support. A local consumer alert: dozens of people in several states, including Tennessee and Mississippi, have gotten sick after eating cereal and pre-cut melons tainted with salmonella. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than 70 people have gotten sick in 31 states after eating Honey Smacks cereal. The FDA is advising you throw out and not eat any of the cereal, regardless of size or best buy dates. On top of that, the salmonella outbreak linked to pre-cut melon is growing, spreading to 23 states. Cut melon, honeydew, and cantaloupe, as well as fruit salads containing these melons, have been recalled from stores in those states. Customers are also being told they should throw out those items. The FDA and CDC are working with state health officials to determine the source of contamination in both outbreaks. In a local traffic alert, cars are moving slowly on I-40 westbound at the Watkins Street exit after a crash. Authorities have not released information on what happened, but we do know that an 18-wheeler was involved and that it crashed around 1 o'clock this afternoon. At one point, traffic was down to 1 lane, but right now that is a live look at the scene. You can see crews just finishing up the cleanup there with the crash scene on I-40. Memphians were put to work on Mud Island today, but they also got to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Coming up, we're showing you how some hard work paid off immediate returns of fun.